Well, that's it, is it? The humans finally got them. High Counselor Paul of the Xenon race took a deep breath and stared into the camera. The Galactic Council's grand chamber buzzed with nervous energy, filled with representatives from every corner of the galaxy. The air was thick with tension and anticipation. He began. The Galactic Council tried to keep the humans from acquiring them in many different ways. We put out a ban on genetic editing on any non-consenting sentient life forms. We told them it would be a boring and time-consuming, monotonous task. We fabricated stories about how one scientist, who never really existed, killed himself from banging his head on his desk out of sheer boredom. Paul paused, glancing at his fellow council members. Some nodded in agreement, others looked away, uneasy. He continued, We put laws in place preventing sentients from subjugating and uplifting non-sentient races. There were, of course, clauses to grandfather in pets that were already domesticated. It was permissible to continue domesticating animals that had been domesticated before the law, but doing so to new species was strictly prohibited. We claimed it was due to a reptilian race domesticating a mammalian superpredator. But that wasn't true. No, it was to prevent the humans from creating their own superpredator, one that, when the rest of the galaxy heard about it, collectively had a panic attack. He allowed the words to sink in before he went on. Now, maybe it was an overreaction, as some races actually do have old superpredators as domesticated pets. In fact, it seems that domestication and becoming an intelligent dominant race go hand in hand. Take the Quallon and their insect-meat pets, for example. Small spider-like creatures with scythes like an earth mantis and senses well beyond those of the Quallon themselves. These meek have a full range of vision and range in size from small enough to carry on a shoulder to large enough to ride into war. These are terrifying, yes, but compared to what the humans wanted to create, they were puny, stupid, and weak little things to be crushed like bugs. Paul's eyes narrowed as he leaned closer to the camera, his expression stern. The humans already have their own superpredators, like their so-called humanity's best friend, dogs, which come in so many sizes and breeds it would be absurd to list them all here. Quadrupedal beasts that can outrun any human, with a sense of smell used for tracking that bordered on uncanny. Combined with humans' tracking skills, they never fail to find their prey. The dog's sense of hearing, their crushing bite force, and more. Still, compared to what the humans wanted to make, even these dogs seem docile and tame, like cute, cuddly toys. He paused, glancing around the room filled with screens displaying the faces of Galactic Council members. Despite our absolute best efforts, the humans managed to get not one or two, but 27 different breeding programs from crossbreeding and in vitro fertilization. Methods which, as defined by galactic law, are not technically genetic engineering. Now, humans have their long sought-after long-extinct pet. Yes, extinct. The Galactic Council absolutely buried the records. And I mean buried them. We visited Earth before, toward the middle of their medieval era. When we saw the humans' tendency to tame dangerous creatures and a creature so dangerous that one of the scouts went into a fear-induced coma, we decided one of them had to go. One of these beasts attacked the research ship, and the pilots waved it off. Paul's voice grew more intense as he recounted the story. They were in a state-of-the-art armored galactic scout ship that could deflect micrometeoroids in the void like they were nothing and take the heat of re-entering any planet with ease. But this creature's teeth punctured the armor like it was paper, and its claws shredded the plate armor like it was soft threads. Then there was the breath. These things, due to some quirk in their biology, stored methane inside a specialized lung-like organ. This methane was used to boost their metabolic rates when needed, giving an insane healing rate. But the other use for it is the reason we almost lost that scout ship. This creature, this flying scaled monster, would in its infancy eat its own eggshell, which had a high concentration of flint. This flint would coat the back molars of the beast's teeth. Then, as they grew and stored methane in their bodies, they gained the ability to release all of it through their mouth. As they opened their jaws, their other teeth would strike the flint, causing a spark. In essence, they could, for bursts of up to 30 human seconds, breathe fire, with a cooldown of a week or so while methane built back up in their system. The scout ship's heat shield was overwhelmed and completely collapsed after 5 seconds, and the scoring on the ship when it puttered back into the docks was almost like a form of art. The Council immediately sent out the military fleets and exterminated that species. Now, genocide like that is rare and highly frowned upon, but those monsters, those dragons, needed to go. Paul's eyes reflected the gravity of the situation. The Eastern dragons were long, noodle-like things with anti-gravity organs. Yes, organs. These things had anti-gravity biologically. Their scales were immune to every type of damage we tried to throw at them until we literally started throwing ballistics at them. They could also breathe fire, but they could adjust the cone, intensity, and temperature of it. Our ships going down in plumes of white-hot flame was not uncommon, sadly. We aren't even sure we got all of these Eastern ones either. They were smart, crafty things. Not sapient, but definitely intelligent. Once enough of their number were culled, they hid. After searching for 10 years and not finding any, we collected our scrap and left for the west. The Western dragons were hardier things, bulky as hell, but we needed seriously high-caliber, armor-piercing rounds to even hurt them. Killing them took the equivalent of orbital bombardment weapons to their face. They couldn't control the heat of their fire, but the bursts of it made that irrelevant. The sheer volume of fire compensated. Their claws were— we still don't even have an alloy to properly compare them to. Paul took a deep breath. Now the humans have recreated these old monsters that they thought were legends. As a side note, the humans are the most terrifying predators the galaxy has ever seen. They would go out with nothing but metal armor and swords, sharp metal sticks, and fight these things, often successfully slaying them. We really tried to stop the humans from getting dragons again. But it won't be 10 Earth years before we see these beasts on human battlefields or following loyally behind a human through a space station, or if they are the Eastern variety, hanging around a human's neck like a scarf. Even worse, the dragons the humans have bred can actually speak and are by all measures sapient. They choose to be human pets and followers. Choose it. This also means they can consent to genetic augmentation and tampering too. At least the old dragons were somewhat intelligent, but none of them could actually speak. Global super predators, sure, but still animals. Honestly speaking, the humans should thank us a little bit. Old dragons loved to eat humans, especially for some odd reason. They would attack towns, villages, and even a few cities fell under their wrath. A lot of humans tried to tame them for a long, long time, but nobody ever did anything but become a meal for the old dragons. After a while, the humans gave up and just started hunting the beasts back. But now the dragons they have are not only intelligent but sentient. These new dragons, due to said intelligence, are orders of magnitude more dangerous than their old separated ancestors. I wish that were all, but it isn't. Dragon psychology is now a thing, and apparently, they have this mentality that humans are the superior race to them, not through might or birth, but by knowledge and understanding. The dragons now willingly stunt their own growth genetically to stay by the humans' sides. The Western dragons are no bigger than a Great Dane, a large breed of dog, intentionally so as to not be in their master's way. Yes, master. The humans hate this term, but dragon pride sees it as a must, and whatever human adopts them is from that point forward their master. They don't see themselves as slaves, as they will leave abusive masters or retaliate, but as servants and family members of these humans. Now, the Eastern dragons prefer to be the size of a boa constrictor from Earth, a large reptilian predator with an uncanny resemblance to what they were. Perhaps a branch in their evolution. They love to hang around the necks and shoulders of their human masters and share their body heat. They aren't cold-blooded, they just like the warmth, kind of like human cats. On that note, the Eastern dragons can also be just as fickle as a damn cat. They can at least accept a wrong, though. The Western ones will double, triple, and quadruple down like a stubborn bull. But I think that phrase will soon be replaced with stubborn as a Western dragon. At this point, there is an honest-to-science debate in the Council over whether or not to tell the humans about the past. The two opinions boil down to this. If we don't tell the humans and they find out, they will go on a war of unholy vengeance. And the other side. If we tell the humans, they would get angry and go on an unholy war of vengeance. Paul sighed deeply, glancing around the room one last time. But well, if you're watching this, you know I told the humans. This is, after all, a galactic-wide live stream. Now, I've been ignoring chat, but let's see. He tapped a few buttons, bringing up the live chat feed. Oh my, there are a lot of humans here. Good. Some mixed reactions, but mostly thankful for telling them, it would seem. Well, let's hope this gamble pays off then. The room erupted into chaos as representatives began shouting over each other, their faces contorted with fear, anger, and disbelief. Paul stood his ground, eyes fixed on the camera, waiting for the inevitable backlash. Yet, amidst the turmoil, a sense of relief washed over him. The truth was out, and whatever happened next, they would face it together. The hours following Paul's broadcast were tumultuous. The Galactic Council was in uproar, and emergency meetings were convened to address the immediate fallout. Meanwhile, humanity's response was swift and vocal. Social media platforms across the galaxy were flooded with reactions ranging from outrage to curiosity. In the midst of the chaos, a delegation of human representatives, led by Ambassador Alexander Reed, arrived at the council chamber. Tall, with a commanding presence and piercing blue eyes, Reed exuded a calm authority. He stepped forward, his voice clear and measured. High Counselor Paul, members of the Galactic Council, thank you for your honesty. We understand the fear and concerns that have driven your actions, but we must also acknowledge the shared history that has brought us to this point. Humanity has always been resilient, adaptable, and yes, sometimes reckless. But we have also learned, grown, and evolved. He paused, looking directly at Paul. We have indeed resurrected the dragons, not out of a desire for power or dominance, but out of a sense of connection to our past and the wonders it held. These dragons are not the same creatures you once feared. They are our partners, our friends. They have chosen to stand with us, and we with them. Reed's words resonated throughout the chamber, silencing the murmurs. He continued, We do not seek vengeance for the past. What's done is done. We seek understanding and cooperation. Let us move forward together, learning from each other and building a future where all species can thrive. Paul nodded slowly, his expression thoughtful. Ambassador Reed, your words are wise. Perhaps it is time to let go of old fears and embrace a new era of collaboration. The galaxy has changed, and so must we. Over the following months, the Galactic Council and human representatives worked tirelessly to draft new agreements and protocols. Trust was not rebuilt overnight, but the process had begun. Joint scientific endeavors, cultural exchanges, and mutual defense pacts were established, fostering a sense of unity and shared purpose. The dragons, now recognized as sentient beings, became a symbol of this new alliance. Their presence in human settlements and on space stations was initially met with apprehension, but their intelligence, loyalty, and unique abilities quickly won over even the most skeptical. High Counselor Paul and Ambassador Reed became prominent figures in this new era, their names synonymous with the peace and progress that followed. They continued to work closely, navigating the complexities of galactic politics and ensuring that the mistakes of the past were not repeated. As the years passed, the galaxy flourished under this newfound harmony. The story of how humanity resurrected the dragons and the challenges that followed became a part of galactic history, a testament to the power of truth, resilience, and cooperation. And so, the message that brought peace to the galaxy was remembered not only for the turmoil it initially caused but for the lasting unity it ultimately fostered. The legacy of High Counselor Paul, Ambassador Reed, and the dragons they brought back to life lived on, inspiring generations to come.